my name is Liam Patterson. I'm the CEO of Bidnamic. All we do is Google Shopping. We're a tech platform, so we're not a team of freelancers or an agency. We're instead a software business full of PhD mathematicians, and we work with over 100 Google Shopping retailers. So on this talk, we're going to talk about the many that we see and choose not to partner with. So we turn away about 8 out of 10 businesses that approach us because we know that Google Shopping is not going to be the channel for their business. And often we see retailers Google Shopping simply because it's not going to be the right channel for them. Sometimes they've lost thousands or even hundreds of thousands of pounds doing this. So on this presentation, we're going to kick on and we're going to see some of the challenges they come across. So first of all, what is Google Shopping? So Google Shopping is a pay-per-click channel. You might have seen it from doing shopping online or from running your e-commerce business. It's this carousel of adverts. It's a pay-per-click channel, so it's totally free to show up, but it costs money every time someone clicks on an advert. And that's a real challenge to predict how much to pay for that click. But it's a vast channel because unlike, say, social ads or Facebook ads, people are actively going to Google to search for exactly what you sell. And they're at the point that they're ready to buy or they're ready to investigate buying and consider buying, the advert is shown. And it's a huge volume channel as well. There's 63,000 Google Shopping searches per second. That's more than 3.8 million per minute. And this is a high converting channel. It only shows for shopping queries. So there's a vast amount of traffic and sales going through. And it's around 27% of all transactions that are going through Google Shopping. So we know it's really critical for retailers to show up. Google also share, but the challenge with this is that there can be several disciplines that really need to come together to make Google Shopping work. The first is the product range. So really, when we look at this, we need these areas to work together to be successful and really scale on Google Shopping. So first of all, what is what retailers selling? Is there active search intent? We're going to deep dive into each area of this. The second area, which can mean that retailers fail on Google Shopping and don't get the success they deserve or want, is their shopping experience, so the e-commerce store. So again, we're going to deep dive into some of the areas that can really hold back businesses. And third and finally, we're going to talk about the Google Shopping ads and that intent to buy and how you can structure your campaigns to really take advantage of this. So let's dive straight into it. So first of all, we've got the search volume coming from the product range. So on here, this is people actively searching for what you buy? So clearly, if you've got something really innovative, really cool, really new, this might be a product that's going to be much better served through a social channel because people just don't know it exists. That really cool cutting edge item, they just need to see it. When they see it on social, they're going to see it, they're going to get wowed by it, they're going to click and they're going to buy. But if they don't know it exists, they're not going to turn to Google. So that search volume is just not going to be there. So you want to have products to be successful on Google Shopping with people actively looking for either those products and brands or something very similar. So this is the first area that retailers fail, is choosing it as the right channel. So, often if you need to create that demand, use something like paid social or such as Facebook ads or PR. The second is the products need to be price competitive. Now note it's the term's price competitive, not the cheapest. Amazon is all about being the cheapest. It's all about that race to the bottom on margin and giving the customer the single best price. Whereas Google Shopping isn't. To win at Google Shopping, you need to be a fair price, but you need to be able to also invest and give that commission or that cost per click to Google. So if you've got a really low margin because you've discounted your product, you're actually not going to have enough budget to pay Google for those transactions because you're going to be at such a lower margin. And there's only 5 products that show on that carousel, and often hundreds or even thousands of retailers selling those same products. So here we can see an example of 2 products, exactly the same items, one for 570 and one for 519. Clearly, that's quite a big difference in price, and for the difficulty of moving your cursor to the right, you're probably going to save yourself £50. So again, we need to think about being price competitive. Likewise, here we can see exactly the same product for 100, whereas £81 below it. So again, we need to be price competitive. That doesn't mean the cheapest, but if you're, if you know that price competitiveness is, you're far more expensive selling the same products as other retailers, then Google Shopping probably isn't for you. Again, people are less price competitive and price researching through channels like paid social. However, this is still much more advantageous than Amazon, which is all about the price to win the buy box. So a good Google Shopping strategy, you need to be price competitive. As we move around to the second circle, we need to look at the e-commerce store. So because the cost per click is the same, or even more expensive as we move to the left-hand side of the carousel, the average order value is going to really play a part. Because you can imagine if you've got two retailers, both paying 20p a click, but one retailer is getting a £10 order, whereas another is getting a £20 order, the one with the £20 order is going to be returning twice the profit from that same click. So then they'll be able to bid more because they're making more profits. They then might increase their cost per click up, and that means that you're going to be at a big disadvantage. So to win the market, we need to have a really competitive cost per click. And some areas that can really help us there is a deep product range. A deep product range around a theme. So again, if you're a golf retailer, you've got a whole assortment of golf products, then someone might click in on the golf balls, but they might also add a ping jacket, they might buy some clubs or a driver. So again, that average order value and that basket value can be much, much higher due to deep product range you've got, through being able to do very smart linked buys, cross-selling and upselling, all these things that you've got a fixed cost to get that traffic to your website from Google Shopping, but through smart upselling and cross-selling, you can increase that order value and dramatically increase your profitability. So again, having a deep product range around a theme gives the retailer a really good advantage. The second area is site speed. So this is real data from an outdoor retailer that we work with. And here we can see that their site slowed down. So at 3 seconds, they had a conversion rate. So this is 100 clicks on the website, returned 2.55 orders or 2.55% conversion rate. And they had a return on ad spend of 10.4. So what that means is for every pound spent, they were returning £10.40 at a site speed of 3 seconds. But the site began to become slower and slower. And we can see this, that as it moved to 4 seconds, that return dropped to £9.30. As it went to 5 seconds, £8.20. And as it reached 7 seconds, it'd fallen all the way down to £6.10. And the conversion rate of clicks to an order had fallen from 2.55 orders to just 1.5 orders. So that was a 41% loss of revenue by the site getting slower. So again, when we think about Google Shopping, often people just think about the ads and what they're paying to Google, and they fail to think about the real importance of having a high site speed on their store. Then we move around to the third area. So this is where we're experts at and where we're going to do an even deeper dive. And this is the Google Shopping strategy. But first of all, we need to set the success metrics. So is it a cost per order or a return on ad spend? So both of these metrics are quite flawed. So the cost per order is how much you're willing to pay to Google to get an order. And here the example is £5, so £5 per order. But this is a really bad metric, and it's a bad metric because what about the product margin? Is that, you're paying £5, but is the product that they've placed, is it 90% margin, really, really high margin, high profit, or is it just 10% margin? So again, we need to think about the margin of the products. It also fails to take into account the order value. So that's how much is the order? Is it £5 and they only placed a £1 order, or is it £5 and they placed a £10,000 order? So again, we want to think about and take into account the order value. And finally, it fails to think about repeat customers. Is this a shopper who's buying one time, so they're never going to get any more revenue or orders from them, or are they buying something which is a replenishable product, which is going to be frequently repurchased, and they're going to be a really high lifetime value customer to your business? So again, it's not taken into account by just paying £5 for the order. The second metric, which we're much stronger fans of, but is still quite flawed, is return on ad spend. So this is taking the amount you've spent to Google for the clicks, and it's dividing by the revenue that you've actually received from the sales. And here the target is 4 times. So that means for every pound they've invested, they're returning £4 or 400% return. But again, it fails to take into account the product margin, what's the margin of these items, and also the repeat rate as well. So again, not the perfect metrics, but we strongly advise to focus on a return on ad spend target initially. So why does Google Shopping really work for some retailers and not for others? Well, once we've defined the target, let's just say it's a 4 times return on ad spend. This defines what we can see here as the sweet spot. So this is where we're maximizing the search volume. This is how much traffic we can get to the website. And we're also maximizing the profitability. So we're getting the maximum profit and the maximum volume by being in this sweet spot. And a lot of retailers find that they ping pong, and agencies and teams that manage Google Shopping and other channels find they ping between these two areas. So the left-hand side, we've got underbidding. This could be where we're bidding just pennies for those clicks, and they're very, very profitable, a really high return on ad spend. So if the target is 4, maybe we're getting 8, 10, 12 times return on ad spend. So we're all very happy at that extra profitability, but this white space is being lost, and that is the opportunity to get more volume. Likewise, we could jump the other side, we could massively put our bids up, and suddenly it's costing us more than we're actually making in the profit. So we're overbidding and paying too much. So this is a campaign structure within Google Shopping. So this is a client that came to us, and they were spending about 4,200 a week on their Google Shopping ads. They had 52,000 product SKUs. So that's all the products they sell, the different sizes, colors, variations. So 52,000 unique products, all of different sizes, different prices, different margins, and they'd set a maximum or a set CPC across all those 52,000 products of just 25p. So effectively, they've got 52,000 products, one huge target at 25p. Why was it 25p, not 30p? Because they'd be overbidding at 30p. And why was it not 10p? They'd be underbidding and losing volume. So by selling it at 25p, they were hitting the sweet spot, or trying as closely as they could. But we know that this isn't the smartest way of doing it. So Google Shopping's best practices promoted by Google are that we should segment the campaigns down, and we should look at what's going to make sense for yourselves as retailers, and group them by, for example, the product type. So jeans, dresses, have them on different cost per clicks, the brands like Nike or Adidas, maybe price buckets, so low price items, high price items, maybe margin. So we can group these and segment them. And what that allows us to do is take those 52,000 products and break them down into, say, 3 groups with different cost per clicks. That allows us to get closer into that sweet spot where we're maximizing visibility and sales. But we know and have learned from our journey of building the technology at Bidnamic and working with hundreds of retailers on Google Shopping, that there's got to be a smarter way of doing this. And this is bidding on an individual SKU. And we know this because the conversion rate, this is how many clicks to get a sale, is very, very different for different products. So we need to think more granularly. They have different product margins, they lead to different basket sizes and different customers' lifetime value. So instead, what we need to do is we need to bid for every SKU uniquely, because they have a different conversion rate. And this means we can segment down and break down that catalog into a much smaller, much more precise bidding structure. And also we need to then, after breaking down all these products and bidding them uniquely, we need to take into account the actual search terms. So this has a huge impact on the return that a retailer will make. So awareness terms like football shirt is going to be much more lower converting than a Pacific's club like Man United, away kit, their year and their age and gender. So again, this is much more high converting. But on Google Shopping, unlike text ads, we're not able to have that level of precision and control. What we can see across all the analysis of accounts we've done is there's a massive correlation between the longer, more detailed search terms where they're referencing age, size, gender, brands, and that much, much higher return. So here we can see the generic awareness terms like Arsenal jacket are returning £6.97. So the target here for the retailer is 10. So they're unprofitable for these generic terms, and they're very, very, very profitable, over £17 returned for these much more granular, much more detailed search terms. So what we want to do is we want to bid at an SKU level, and we want to be able to bid so every single item in the catalog, and then bid differently for the search terms. So if someone's gone to Google and searched for football shirt, I want to put a low bid, and therefore reducing, moving it from being overbidding to being in that sweet spot. And that means the advert will show at the end of the carousel, where there's fewer clicks at the end of the carousel than at the front. Again, we'll put a higher bid price on the middle of the carousel, and we're able to put a really, really high bid price on the front of the carousel. And this is known as the top impression, where between 60 to 65% of all the clicks are going on that top impression. So it's also the most expensive. So this allows us to go from a really grouped mass approach to being able to bid on an SKU level and at a search term level as well, to be able to align the budget with the profitability of the campaign. And this allows retailers to gain a moat around their business. So it's never been easier to launch an e-commerce store, maybe on Shopify, get products, set them up, and start selling. And Warren Buffett talks about having a moat around your business. And we believe that this search term data and this product performance data becomes your moat in Google Shopping, because you can outbid other retailers. This is the final slide I'll cover on this, but this just allows us to deep dive into it and see. This is a client that we've been working with, a sports retailer in the USA, selling sports and football shirts. So here we can see the client, by taking our approach of using machine learning and neurolinguistic programming to analyze these search terms as they come in, is able to dominate the most profitable purchase terms, which are above their return on ad spend targets at 83% of the time. The consideration terms, which are those mid-tail terms, where they're referencing age, genders, brands, model numbers, 80% of the time we're able to dominate that, and just 46% for awareness, because they're able to reinvest the profits made in purchase and consideration terms and put them back into awareness terms. And this means that a mid-sized retailer is able to outcompete on Google Ads, Amazon and eBay, even specialist retailers like soccer.com and Adidas and Nike that make the products and therefore must have a higher margin. So as I can see, the time is kind of ticking down. I'm going to shoot back to the chat and let me know if you've got any questions relating to this. No. So is anyone actively managing a Google Shopping account? Is anyone finding it quite time intensive, maybe not getting the returns they want, or have any other areas they'd like to share? Feel free to use the chat and put it in there if you are. Or does anyone disagree with this approach of taking a whole collection of products, taking them down to a single SKU level, so we can bring in the margin, we can bring in the order values, and then triplicating and bidding differently for the search terms that are coming through? Sure. I think one of the challenges with this approach is if you're doing it manually, there's just too much information to take into account. That, you know, as you break down and segment the product catalog into smaller and smaller sizes, you end up creating more and more challenge around how to set and assume what the right bid price is. And this is what we call a true bid value, because data has simply surpassed what a human can analyze and manage. So if we were just to look at a single football shirt, we'd have to guess what the cost per click is. We'd have to look, there's so many variables that go in, from the team, the player, the color of that shirt, if it's home and away, the search term, the category, the price range, delivery time. There's over 108 different variables that come into play. And that's just on the product side. Then you've got the website, the site speeds, and the search volume. So again, there's just so much information that it's really, really difficult to do this manually, which is why it's a great space for machine learning, because we've got structured data around the single products. We've got an evolving market. And that's exactly how we approach it at Bidnamic. We're teams of PhD analysts and researchers who've built models often for algorithmic trading and stock markets, financial products, and have now applied this to Google Shopping to very quickly and accurately find that sweet spot. So what's the outcome been for the 100 retailers? Well, it's been pretty exceptional. And we actually built this product out of our own startup, which is heavily funded, and it was our investors who said, can we work and take this to the market to support some of their portfolio companies? We're now 2.5 years on, a team of over 40, many PhD researchers, many analysts, many developers and machine learning engineers. And some of the results we've got have just been pretty staggering. That's across different retail verticals, from well-known brands like FY. We've seen 157% revenue increase and a 30% reduction in costs. Standout, which is a men's fashion retailer, 115% increase in revenue, 26% reduction in costs. Specialist retailers like BLT Direct, we've seen a 31% revenue increase, and the list goes on. There's dozens and dozens of case studies detailed on the website, bidnamic.com. Yeah, sure. So examples of retailers we've said, Osvaldo, great question. So some of the retailers we've said no to have actually been where they've got very, very quick changing inventory. So this can be the likes of kind of pawnbrokers, where all different types of products are coming in. They've not got a deep theme around what they're selling, and they've got single items, often used items. So that means that let's say a wristwatch comes in, as we get the search terms data, as we learn and profile that product, it's sold, and it is not going to be something similar coming back into that collection or that catalog. So that's one of the reasons. Others have been where we can just see that the search volumes, the amount of people actually searching for those products, is very niche. So that means maybe it's just a cutting edge new product, and it's going to be much, much better to put this onto a channel such as Facebook ads or Instagram ads, where people can see it, be wowed, and click and buy, because there's just not the existing search volume for the products that they're selling. Hopefully that gives a bit of context. It can also be we are a premium platform, and we have to have enough spend data. So it can be that they're just a little bit too early in their Google Shopping journey. So they might just have a small spend. So we'll look for retailers with spending the thousands of pounds a month at the minimum end. So again, if they're just starting out, it's much better for them to go out there and get that data themselves. And we do a free performance audit for that reason. So we can analyze the performance, feedback, if there's a real volume within Google Shopping, what the potential upside is. And we also look for search intent as well, or purchase intent. So do people refine their search terms, and as they refine them, adding brands, styles, models, genders, ages, does the conversion rate and the return on ad spend, the profitability increase? Or is it just very much, there's very little pattern in the search terms, which again would be very challenging for our technology. Hopefully that gives a bit of context. Any other questions? Thank you. Thanks. That's great. Yeah. And I think one of the other challenges with Google Shopping is that it's really it's a moving market. So again, we've got to think about it as the amount of time. So agencies and freelancers will often review an account, and in-house teams maybe every 2 weeks, because there's just not that much data there, and they need enough data to make a decision. But that means that a single product or big group of products, if they're following Google's best practice, can be left in the underbidding, so losing out on opportunity to get more sales, or in the overbidding, where they're just spending budget and not getting that return. So they're slow to react, meaning there's a real loss of opportunity. Whereas what we're doing through the API is we're what we call high frequency bid adjustments. So for every single interaction metric, we're pulling it via the AdWords API. So is the product getting an impression? So that means, is it showing up on the Google Shopping carousel? Is it getting clicks? How much are those clicks costing? We're then analyzing 365 continuously the ROI that it's getting. Is it leading to conversions? Has the conversion rate increased? Has the basket value increased? And we're using this to predict an action of cost per click change. This is increasing the bid price, leaving it the same, so we're in that sweet spot, or lowering it because we need to get back, we're overbidding. So again, by having this programmatic approach to Google Shopping and pulling this data continuously, we're able to react to the market far quicker. And again, Google Shopping is a changing market. There's new retailers joining all the time. There's in the auction, they're changing their bids. Their products are going in and out of stock, both on the retailer's website and on their competitors. Prices are changing. Performance of the website's changing. So again, this is a real, really fast-moving market, unlike something like listing a product on eBay or Amazon, where it's a much more a set and forget channel. Thanks. Well, I'm not sure if anyone has got a final question they'd like to pose. And thanks, Maxine, for your kind comment. I'm glad you've learned something, and I hope a few of you will have. And again, all we do is Google Shopping. We've got a programmatic approach to Google Shopping, and we offer a free performance audit. So if anyone thinks some of these things sound interesting, Google Shopping is a channel you're actively scaling for your e-commerce business or for your clients, then please do reach out, and we'll loop in our PhD data analysts to do a real deep dive into the account see if there is an opportunity to support your business's growth. And if there's not, we'll share that as well. And as well as some really detailed insights, which include the market size, the search intent, the loss of potential revenue, and as well as give a real deep dive into some of the strategies that we can use to unlock your performance. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for your time.